This is my Chem food project. It is a triple layer brownie. For the brownie base, we will have 250 grams of unsalted butter, 250 grams of dark chocolate, 4 free-range eggs, 280 grams of soft dark brown sugar, 5 milliliters of instant coffee mixed with 10 milliliters of hot water and cooled, which we'll do later, 120 grams of plain flour, 30 grams of cocoa powder, 2.5 milliliters of salt, and 150 grams of dark chocolate chips. In the nutty center, we will be including 113 grams of chopped up hazelnuts, 450 grams of sweetened and condensed milk, and 2.5 milliliters of salt. For the final layer, which is the cheesecake top, we will be including 300 grams of full-fat soft cream cheese, 100 grams of caster sugar, or just really fine sugar, 2 free-range eggs, 5 milliliters of almond extract, 1 orange, just for the zest, and 15 milliliters of plain flour. Here are the ingredients for each layer, prepared and measured out. Our first step in making the brownie is to make the brownie base. I will be adding the butter and the chocolate pieces into a small saucepan and melting over gentle heat. To melt it, I'll be using the double boiler method to prevent burning the chocolate. I will keep stirring until the solution is completely liquid. Now I add 10 milliliters of boiling water to the 5 milliliters of instant coffee and let it cool. While you're watching me do this, I'll explain this specific scientific phenomenon we'll be focusing at today. We will be looking at how the endothermic process of baking the brownie base causes the bonds in the eggs, sugar, and butter to break and then form new bonds, which creates the overall texture and consistency of the brownie base. First off is the eggs. The endothermic reaction of baking adds energy into the bonds within these eggs. What happens is that these bonds are broken, but they release gas. These air bubbles form within brownies and help create that cake-like texture that we all know. Next is the sugar. During baking, the sugar undergoes a Maillard reaction, which is when amino acids and reduced sugars react. This creates the crust of the brownie, and it also gives it that dark brown color. Finally, we have the butter. When energy is added, the lipid chains in the butter are broken, and when mixed with flour, create the tender but crumbly texture of the brownie. Now, back to the cooking. Here, we will whisk the eggs, sugar, and cooled coffee in a large mixing bowl until it is thick, light, and fluffy. We also want to preheat the oven to 160 degrees Celsius. Now, we will mix in the chocolate from earlier and stir with the electric whisker until there is no more streaks. Then, we'll mix in the flour, cocoa, and salt until we have a nice glossy batter. Now we will add in the chocolate chips with the teaspoon of flour. The teaspoon of flour is added so that the chocolate chips are evenly suspended all the way through the batter. This helps create an equal concentration all the way through the solution. Now we will pour our mixture into the tin baking pan and let it cook for 30 minutes in the oven that was preheated to 160 degrees Celsius. Now, to make the nutty center. First, we're going to toast the hazelnuts until they're deep golden brown. If you can't see it, you're not squinting hard enough. Here, we will add the sweetened condensed milk and the salt into the hazelnuts and mix completely. After taking the brownies out and letting them cool, we pour the hazelnut center on top of the brownies and put them in the freezer for 30 minutes. Also, by freezing the brownies, we prevent them from overbaking in the next step. For the cheesecake top, we will be mixing the 2 eggs, the cream cheese, sugar, egg, almond extract, and a little bit of the orange zest all combined together with flour. We also want to preheat the oven to 150 degrees Celsius. Finally, we pour the cheesecake top on, let it bake for 30 minutes, then take it out of the oven and cool it in the fridge overnight.